Sorry, call it. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So looks like we have another Plan Commission member, Hank Beinecker, and yourself, Cal. So I don't think we have a quorum yet.
I know Angelina sent out an email saying she wasn't going to make it tonight.
Right. So Mark sent out a text to me. He's running late.
Okay.
Technically, we all have to be here, right?
No.
You just need 3. Stephanie is here, so.
Oh, Stephanie, your
Hey,
camera
Cal.
is dark because of the light behind you from your
Okay.
window.
Cal, I am here. I'm just on phone right now. I can't get the internet to load Zoom.
Okay, no problem. So we have 3 right now, and Mark can join in.
Hey, Cal, can you hear me? This is Mark.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
We have.
Okay, I am on the thing. I just can't get Zoom to load with the internet in this hotel.
We
Why
have.
don't you go ahead,
We have
Heather?
4 members present, Cal. We have Hank, Stephanie, Mark, and yourself. So we have a quorum.
We have Mark, if you have a problem, you can stay on the phone call. You don't, if we don't get you visually, I think that should be okay.
Perfect.
All right, so we have everybody. Is everybody on?
Yeah.
To start the.
Call the meeting to
Okay.
order.
All right, I'm gonna call to order at 6:04 p.m. Airway Heights Planning Commissioners Meeting, July 14, 2021. And I would like to make a roll call. Cal Patel present. Mark Collins.
Present.
Hank, Commissioner
Present.
Hank.
I am
And we have a
present.
new commissioner, Stephanie Lamb. Do
You're
we have
muted, Stephanie.
Stephanie online?
There you go.
Present. There you go.
Thank you. And I have one commissioner, Angelina, excused for tonight's meeting. So we have a quorum, and I would like to make an amendment to tonight's.
Mark, we might be getting feedback from your phone. Do you want to mute it?
I went ahead and muted you, Mark, so when you try to come back, just unmute yourself.
So I would like to propose an amendment to tonight's meeting. I would like to add a workshop to discuss in-person meeting.
So we'll need a motion from one of the commission members to add.
Can somebody put a motion for that?
Sure, I'll make a motion. I was the one that asked the question.
Oh, that's good. Then why don't you propose the motion for us, Hank?
I would like to make the motion, Cal, to have such a meeting.
In-person meeting.
Yep.
A
All right.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mark, I'm gonna unmute you if you can say A or nay.
So just to go ahead, Mark.
Mark?
Well, we're waiting.
Yay.
There you go.
Okay, that's good.
As a clarification on the motion, that was to add it to the agenda under item 11 workshops for discussion.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Is that a clarification, Hank?
That's perfect, Heather. Thank you very much. I didn't articulate that very well, but yeah, thank you.
It's called on-the-job training, Hank.
It is, right?
I mean, it's every day, every month we learn something new. All right, let's pledge the alliance. I think, are we going to do the karaoke or?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right. In 3, actually. Well, it might be fast, so we'll see how
Okay.
it goes.
Let's see.
1, 2, 3.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's kind of fast.
Okay.
I
Here we
was
go.
reading a bigger document. I apologize. Give me just a second.
We're gonna sound like Donald Duck today.
Let's slow that down. Okay, sorry about that. In 3, 2, 1.
I
I
pledge allegiance
pledge to
I pledge
To the
allegiance to the
of the
flag
United
of the
States
United
of
States of
America
America and to
and
the
to the
republic
republic
which
which
it
stands
stands
one
one
nation,
nation
under
under
God,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty
with
and
liberty and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
It
Still working the
sounds,
kinks out on that, so.
it sounds terrible, but it's okay.
say, can I make another suggestion? Not necessarily a motion, but what do you guys think about this? How about if we just have one person read it and the rest of us can put our hand on our heart and just kind of follow along?
Is that allowed? I don't know.
I don't
We
know,
have
do
to
we all
ask the staff for that.
I'm going to allow Heather to answer that question.
Well, having the Pledge of Allegiance is a element of many agendas that commissions and council members choose to have.
And I like it. I like it.
To do that, and it usually is performed with someone leading, just as you've suggested, Hank, for the voices for purposes of following along. And so at that point, it's individual choice if people were to think along with those words or to speak aloud those words.
Okay.
I think moving forward, it might not be an issue because we are going to go to in-person meetings eventually, I think. So this,
It was just a thought because it does come out kind of garbled when we all do it. So no worries, just a minor thing.
So yeah, we certainly can continue to work on ways to help with the guidance and the Pledge of Allegiance. So at this point, Mr. Chair, we have an amendment to the agenda that was passed. Is there, as clarification, motion to approve the agenda for this evening?
okay. So we already made an amendment. So I just have to ask for approval, right?
Of the agenda.
With
as
the
presented
amendment.
with the-
Okay.
Mhm.
I'd like to get a motion to approve tonight's agenda with the additional of a workshop to discuss in-person meetings. All
I'll
in
make a
fa-
motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to pass tonight's agenda with the added addendum.
Somebody second that?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All in favor?
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
We're gonna move to the approval of the minutes of the last meeting. If somebody wants to do a motion for that, and then we can probably discuss it.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting, not last month, but my month prior.
I second.
Anybody want to discuss anything about it before we move forward? If no discussion, let's vote for it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I am gonna make sure I don't go too fast, okay, guys? Sometimes I kind of run. So the next one is public comments. Do we have anybody for public comments today?
I do not believe so.
Okay, I'm gonna give it 15 seconds, and if we don't, I'm gonna move to the next item. Okay, since we don't have anybody for public comments, I'd like to move to presentations. Staff, we don't have any presentations today, right?
Nope.
Okay, so I will move on to, wow, we got public hearing. I'm gonna move to public hearing. I don't have my, let me go get my my statement to read, okay? 1 second.
Absolutely. While Cal's preparing to give instructions for the hearing, I just need sharing privileges, and I'll bring up a PowerPoint.
You should have them already.
Perfecto. We work so well together, Zach. right, I'm gonna move your
Sorry,
faces.
guys. Sorry. I apologize for the delay. Hello?
Yes,
Okay,
No worries.
I'm gonna open up the public comments. Sorry, I'm gonna open up the public hearings. And I just wanna say all comments made by proponents, opponents, or other members of the public shall be made from the Zoom platform. In this case, any individuals making comments shall first give their name and address. This is a requirement because an official recording of the public hearing is being made. If a person is physically challenged and requires any special accommodation, the chair shall be advised. No comment should be made from any other locations. Any person making out of order comments shall be muted out. There shall be no no demonstration of applauses, or any audience participating during the conclusion of any person's presentation. The rules are intended to promote orderly system of holding a public hearing, giving every person an opportunity to hear, and to ensure that no individual is annoyed or embarrassed by exercising his or her right of speech. And I'm gonna hand it over to staff. I don't know to start the first hearing, which is C963 ordinance establishing public art commission and public art fund. I think that's by Heather.
yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair and Planning Commission members. This has been a multi-year process, and this is the final step for establishing an art program in the city of Airway Heights. Today's hearing, I'll briefly go over the base document for having art as a implementable policy in Airway Heights and the elements of the ordinance that is proposed to go to council, and we'd like to receive a recommendation from the Plan Commission tonight through a formal vote, as well as your vote based on consideration of any public testimony. We have not received any written comment on this proposal. To recap, the Airway Heights initiated the development of a public art plan back in 2018, and I don't read my slides, so you all can read them. I'm going to summarize them. But the city hired a consultant, SCJ Alliance, in order to conduct this process, and this was after the city was faced with potentially some public art being installed at the roundabout adjacent to the Spokane Tribe of Indians facility along US Highway 2. The city realized that there wasn't really a policy about where art should be, the context of art, the elements of the art, how long it would last, etc. And so out of that was born an opportunity to create a larger policy about public art. That public art plan was finally adopted just this year in February of 2021. There was a lot of community engagement with that art plan, and it went forward, I think, pretty successfully, both with the Plan Commission and the City Council, with a unanimous recommendation of approval. It discusses all form of art, so it's really the overarching policy on the variety of mediums, from visual art to performance art and everything in between. This ordinance before you tonight is an implementation method of having art in our community, and this art this art plan had envisioned the creation of a body that would help identify where there would be art, what it would potentially look like. And so that comes to the form of evaluating proposals, and making recommendations about art, including installation by the city and maintenance, and then eventually, if necessary, art that would be decommissioned. So this ordinance creates the first ever art commission for Airway Heights, as well as creating a public art fund. So a fund, a budget item within the city of Airway Heights annual budget in which there are funds that can be deposited or contributed to that account and used for only public art. So before you tonight are two ordinances which were in the packet. It also has been available on the city's website under the planning department for quite a while, actually. The art plan and an earlier draft of the ordinance has been up for a couple of months on the website, and the most recent version's been up there for at least 2 months. We have circulated this draft to agencies, typical surrounding agencies, state and local agencies for any comment. As I mentioned, we had not received any. We also did legal notice leading up to today's hearing, so that it did appear in our paper of record, the Cheney Free Press, so that those who may be interested in participating in this conversation about an ordinance would be able to attend today's hearing and provide public testimony. But essentially, it creates an ordinance that talks about the intent, which is to have public art. So I keep stressing public because this doesn't require art for private projects. It requires art in many sections of this ordinance for public projects. So that could be a roadway project. It could be the development of a new city hall. It could be the expansion of an existing public facility. It would require there to be art as a component of that. There's definitions along with here. And then there's also a process by which the city would go about soliciting art to be created. So identifying a project, generally when that funding became available because of a public project, soliciting from artists, a process by which each proposal would be evaluated, and how a commission would make recommendations to the city council about a public art project. It also establishes the first ever public art commission. We had a conversation back in May about the composition of that. And so tonight, the commission may want to finalize some recommendations, and those were about requirements for residency and how some of those roles may or may not be able to be filled by current residents. It includes requirements for the siting of public art. So it requires that it has to be in a location accessible to the public. So it can't be in someone's office. That there are standards for installation. So making sure that it's secure and that it won't be easily damaged for lack of proper securing, etc. And then how it's going to be maintained. Because if you can imagine, some of these pieces, last 20, 30, 50 years. So, how are we going to keep that piece of art in good condition for the enjoyment of the public into the future? And then eventually, if there is a need, it's called deaccession, but it's basically decommissioning of the piece and how we would go about that. And so one thing I understand from art pieces from some past experiences, sometimes the artists retain as part of the contract with the local jurisdiction, the ability to acquire the piece back if it's decommissioned by the local jurisdiction, just as one option. So as I mentioned, the key takeaways: it creates the art commission, defines the process for solicitation, citing, and decommissioning. And I can pull up the ordinance at any point if anybody wanted to look at some of these specific sections of 219, or Zach could also pull it up from the packet that was circulated. But probably the key pieces had to do, I think, with the discussion at the workshop back in May with the Plan Commission about the membership. The ordinance also includes a second provision, which is to create a fund. So by ordinance, the city creates various funds that we put money into, and then has specific means or reasons why the money can be drawn back out, so that it allows those funds to be secured for that purpose. So another example would be traffic impact fees. Those go into a specific fund and they can't be used for anything else other than roadway improvement projects that improve safety or capacity of roads. And so a municipal art fund would be the same way. It cannot be tapped because it's being used exclusively for public art. It also allows the city to take other funds. So I mentioned, for example, capital projects would be required to set aside money for art. That would be 1% is what the ordinance identifies. But the city could also seek grant funding. So for example, Avista does 4 grants a year, and they can be used for public art in a variety of themes. If one of those grants was obtained by Airway Heights, we could put it into this account and then use the funds out of that for an art project. And then the third mechanism would be donation. So someone may be able to donate to the city of Airway Heights for purposes of being invested into public art. The ordinance itself is fairly short, and again, it just talks about the creation of the fund, the various methods for getting funds into the account, and how they can be budgeted through the finance director for the city of Airway Heights. We are required for ordinances to go through a process of looking at some decision criteria in the municipal code under 1405.030 subsection D. So these criteria are reflected in a staff report that was included in the packet for the Planning Commission. And these should look familiar. There are 6 questions that we are asked to answer as staff so that there's an analysis of the impacts of an ordinance. And in this case, the first question is the development, in this case it would be an ordinance, is consistent with the comprehensive plan and meets the requirements and intent of the development code. And staff has analyzed this ordinance and has recommended that it is consistent with the city's 2020 comprehensive plan because it creates a commission and a fund for public art, and it furthers several goals for the city from that 2020 comprehensive plan, including improving the unique civic identity for Airway Heights. It could be certainly assisting in the historic center of Airway Heights, enhancing its civic vitality, sustaining the arts, culture, and civic environment. And it involves the community at all levels through the creation of a commission and participating in the identification, selection, and placement of public art in our community. The second criteria is making adequate provisions for open space, drainage, streets, public roads, transit, water, sanitary sewer, parks, recreation, schools, and other public utilities. As an ordinance, it implements public art along these facilities. It's not responsible for directly building any of these facilities, like a water station or a new sanitary sewer facility or a brand new roadway, but it does require that those projects set aside a certain amount of funding, the 1%, to be used in art to enhance those areas. So in theory, a new park project, which puts in new infrastructure, is also required to put art in as part of that project. And so it has the ability to enhance those sites and create enjoyment for the public in addition to the public amenity itself. The third criteria is adequately mitigating adverse environmental impacts. And there was an environmental review actually done last year on both the model ordinance as well as the art plan. The model ordinance is nearly identical to this. We just filled in the blank about which chapter of the code that this would go under. And there weren't any environmental impacts identified as a result of adopting basically a fund and creating a commission and adopting a process to have public art. The fourth criteria is that it's not harmful to the public health, safety, or welfare, and is in the public interest. We do not believe as staff that a public art ordinance is harmful to the public and that it enhances the public interest in the community through enhancement of quality of life through a selection and placement of public art for enjoyment. The fifth criteria is that it can't lower a level of service. So for those that are new to the Plan Commission, or if we have some members of the public here, we are required under growth management of state law to adopt levels of service for transportation that we commit to not going below, even as we evaluate new development and its impacts on transportation systems. And it requires us to do something called concurrency, which is if it is going to be impacting transportation system, that there's funding set aside to make an improvement to mitigate that impact at the time that the development occurs or before. And the art ordinance doesn't directly impact or create any direct transportation impacts or even to park services, which we also have impact fees for. It actually is more around placemaking, so enhancing those facilities. And the final criteria is that the location of the proposal as it relates to development is needed to mitigate the effects of the development and are proportional. So in this case, the ordinance is building on the art plan itself that was adopted last year, and the funding is coming from public projects that would essentially enhance potentially the public space around those public projects. So in conclusion, the staff is recommending that the Plan Commission approve and adopt the resolution 2021-15 that was included in the packet with findings for ordinance number C963, which specifically would adopt a new chapter 219 public art and an art fund under 306 into the municipal code. And so that concludes the staff presentation, and I am available for questions from the chair of the commission, and I also hand it back over to the chair to open the public testimony portion of today's hearing.
Thank you, Heather, for the presentation. Do we have anybody in the public signed up to make any comments to this PC resolution?
No.
So in that case, if we don't have anybody signed up, I would like to close the public hearing and open a discussion on it. So it's about 6:29. I'll close the public hearing and open up for discussion amongst staff and commissioners. And I would like to make a comment that Heather, I really like this new format that you put up. I don't know how much extra work it is, but I do feel that this was extremely valuable for us because we come here for a short time, and whatever you identified on this was great, even though normally we put up the whole thing and we go through it. But this was excellent presentation. I really like it. I hope we can do this in the future, and then all the commissioners have a responsibility to read things before they come to the meeting. So I do think this brings a value, but I don't know how much extra time you have to spend.
No, thank you very much. It doesn't take a great deal of extra time because we are already required to put together the staff report and answer all of these questions. We're more than happy to do that. And I'm very happy to hear that that you like the format because it does rely a lot on the commission members having recalled the public workshops as well as having read the materials that are in the packet. But we're always able to pull up the specific ordinance as well and go through sections.
And I think it would be very good engaging with the public too, if they were with us, that the summaries were there instead of reading the whole document. So excellent work. I'm very happy with it. And one more comment. I had a few comments of my own before the commissioners join in. One of them was that, when an artist loans his artwork to the city, and something happens to it, what is a liability for the city if, say, somebody destroys the artwork? I'm not saying that we're going to have a riot here or something like that, but what happens in that case? Is the city liable for that artwork? Or I didn't read that anywhere in the document, so I'm just asking the question.
There is not anything specific about separate party damaging. I think that would be probably addressed under the city's insurance policy,
Okay.
which is, broad coverage over, most elements that city governance addresses. So I think it would be similar to an auto accident.
Okay.
Or someone running into a piece of infrastructure, let's say in a public street, there's a review to determine who is at fault. So was the art structure leaning into the right of way and the driver couldn't avoid it, or was the driver, not able to control the vehicle for some reason and, ran into the piece of art. So, under insurance, there would be a review of the circumstances and a determination of if there was liability on the part of the person who, let's say, ran into a piece of art. That's one example. Another example would be, simple defacing of art, which does happen. That's where the maintenance part of the ordinance comes in. So, there's no video on the art and someone graffitis it, then it would be the financial responsibility of the city to keep it in good condition and to repair that piece of art. So, one would be willful, unknown. The other would be, an accident and an investigation of, how that damage occurred and who would ultimately be responsible for the repair of the art.
Just a general question. So, I just wanted to know. And the second thing was, we also have 5 art commissioners that will be picked from the residents of Airway Heights, which I don't have an issue with it. But just in case, if you don't find the 5 people and we're struggling like we've been struggling with the planning commissioner in the past, now things have changed. Do we have a backup plan for that?
The commission discussed at their workshop in May, making an amendment to this draft that would add some language that indicated the preference for the first attempt is to fill those roles with residents, because there are more than 5 potential commissioners. It's just a minimum of 5 have to be resident.
Oh, okay.
But the commission had discussed potentially modifying this ordinance to say the first attempt should be to put all of the membership on this advisory commission, the first 5 as residents, but if one could not be found for various roles, then it would be open to Spokane County residents.
Just wanted
So the
clarification.
commission wanted to make that recommendation tonight. Certainly could move forward with that recommendation to the city council for consideration, so that there's a alternative if a role such as requiring one of the artist role is required to be a resident. If for some reason that couldn't be filled, that it would allow for opening it up to other residents. And that's based on the conversation of the commission makeup itself for the plan commission, where 3 of the current planning commission members are required to be residents and the others are required to be Spokane County residents. They're not required to be residents of the city.
I'd like to open up the meeting to all the commissioners to address questions and concerns.
I got one question for Heather. Is 5 the magic number, Heather, or would we be able to reduce that commission number to 3 for the art commission?
You can have a number at 3 or 5 or 7. It's usually the standard to use an odd number of commission members, so that when you have voting, you won't have,
Sure.
even votes for some reason. But yes, you could reduce it down to 3. In this case, the number of people is based on the different backgrounds that you may want to have represented on an art commission.
So Cal, I know on the last time we discussed this, and Heather the same, we had talked about all these different things. Since then, just giving it thought and talking to people, I don't think we'll have an issue filling this commission like we do other commissions. I think there's going to be a lot more interest in it, just because there's a lot more interest in art generally. There's not a lot of interest for planning commissions. So I think as written, I think we'll be able to fill that role. I think trying to change this even further or amend it, I personally just think is unnecessary at this time.
No, I sorry, go ahead, Mark. Sorry to cut you off. I apologize. So go ahead.
No, Kals, no problem. But I just personally don't see that reason. I think we discussed this at length and went through all these different things. And I think honestly, it's good going forward like this. That's just my personal opinion.
No, I kind of agree with you. I just wanted to make sure that we start something and then we don't get into problems later. I was just basing it on my current experience with the planning commissioner, where things have been like, up and down, like a roller coaster. So I just don't want the art thing to be like that. But if, I mean, it's just a recommendation that if something doesn't happen, we have a backup so that at least we're not going back again to restart the whole thing. So that was the only reason why I brought it up. But personally, I have no issues with 5 people from Airway Heights. I think it's a great thing because it's their community.
Yeah, I completely agree on that.
Anybody else have anything that want to add to this? If not, I think Mark or somebody would like to propose the motion for PC 2021-015, motion to move forward to the city council.
I'll make a motion to pass resolution PC 2021-015 off to city council.
Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stephanie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and a lot of thought into this ordinance. I think that the community is going to be very excited by the opportunity. This great. Thank you.
I think art always brings communities together. I mean, I travel quite a bit and I see everywhere arts has become a central focus point to bring communities together. So it's a good thing.
Yes.
If we have no further discussions, we don't have any action items today, right?
Correct.
I would like to open up the workshop. We have 3 items today with an amendment. So we'll probably start with the project summary of King Street project, Zach, then followed by the 2022 Airway Heights Comprehensive Plan logo. And the third item would be the discussion about in-person planning commissioner meeting. So I'll hand over to staff.
All right, I'm moving screens around. Give me just 1 second.
So by the way, my gardener says thank for the plants.
Oh,
He
no worries.
ran right away. As soon as I told him, he ran. And then I had 2 people come up to say, why didn't you tell me?
He was very nice. I'll get to that here in this presentation. But he was a very nice man. Okay. Can everybody see that? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm just going to talk about the King Street demonstration project a little bit, kind of give you a summary, a little bit on the front end of where it came from, some of our public outreach. A lot of this is just going to be pictures of the setup during the project and then kind of the tear down, just to give you an idea of the scope of the project. So the Complete Streets grant, Airway Heights was chosen by the National Complete Streets Coalition to participate in a program designed to identify and establish activity-friendly routes to every destination, making it safe and convenient for people of all abilities to walk, run, bike, or roll to their preferred destination. Quick build traffic projects are temporary projects designed to test out changes to streets and intersections before making permanent improvements. This quick build project in particular took place during the month of June along King Street between Highway 2 and 6th Avenue. It included temporary street enhancements, bike lanes, crosswalks. I'll get into the specifics of that in just a moment. The goals for this project were to provide continuous north-south pedestrian connectivity, improve crossing access at King and 10th for connectivity to Sunset Park/school, improve real and perceived safety, and increase active travel along King Street after the conclusion of the quick build project. So our project partners in this actually expanded during the project. Initially, we partnered with the Spokane Tribe of Indians, the Washington State Department of Health, WashDOT, SRTC, TIB, Spokane County, Kalispell, Spokane Transit, Smart Growth America, Center for Disease Control in Airway Heights, As the project moved forward, we added additional partners in the form of Northwest Seed and Pet, who provided some discounts and help obtaining some trees for the project. Ben and Jerry's, who actually brought their truck out and provided some ice cream during our event, which was really cool. The Spokane Arts is a coalition association, Heather. You're muted, sorry. Coalition?
I don't think so. She's
Spokane
hearing
Arts.
you.
That's okay.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute it. It's a Spokane Arts is a nonprofit organization. that-
It's just Spokane Arts. Okay.
Yeah, they represent artists and they provide a bridge to public organizations for art.
Spokane Arts, they helped us out with our mural, and Airway Heights Parks and Rec helped us out a lot. Obviously, they're a department of the within the city, but I just wanted to give them special recognition because they helped us out a lot on this project. So we ran 2 surveys with this. Our initial survey ran just before the project went live, a couple weeks before the project went live. We had 33 responses. It was a 10-question survey done online. It was shared through Facebook, through our Facebook. It was also posted at various cities or locations throughout the city. Of those 33, 54.84% of the respondents either walked or biked to access Sunset Park. I thought that was an interesting statistic. And also about 69% of respondents believe that pedestrian or bike access to Sunset Park / elementary is poor. There were some specific comments that I pulled out. We had all sorts of comments on this, but in general, there were some concerns about road conditions along King. There were some concerns about speed along King and just safety for pedestrians. I am going to actually pull up, let's see if I can get this to go as smoothly as I'm hoping it will. So this is our story map. Can you guys see that? Okay.
Yes.
So this was a part of our public outreach, which is an interactive map of the layout of the project area. So this is King Street here, and this is 10th Avenue. So each one here kind of gives you an idea of what you're looking at. So this is a mock-up of the mural. You'll see some actual pictures of it here in a little bit, but this is kind of where it was going to be, right in the center of the intersection. This was designated a community area where we put some benches, and this is where Ben and Jerry's was at. We'll get to specifics on that later. I just wanted to give you an overhead of what this looked like from the top up. Landscaping buffer here, which was made out of fruit trees, actually. That parking areas, since we removed some parking here, we added some parking areas along King Street and also up along 10th Avenue. I'm sorry if I'm waving my my browser a little bit. I will stop.
Zach, I'm going to jump in for a second. So Story Map, just to give a background on it, is a geographic information system tool that allows us to create another platform to talk about projects and plans, and it makes it more interactive than simply going to a website and reading a blurb and seeing a static image. So Story Map is a big step up for us as an community to be able to more effectively tell the story about something that's going on, and it's something that was a great tool here, but we can use it in the future. So just compare that in your mind, the difference between looking at a static website with a single image and a whole bunch of text versus what Zach's showing you.
Apologies, I've been in the GIS universe all week. They're doing their annual meeting, so yeah. Anyway, and some pedestrian crossings here. So 1, 2, 3 along the intersection, and also just some protective signage was put up to remind everybody that there is a project going on here. So I just wanted to give you that overhead view before we get into the pictures of the actual on the ground features, so you know what we're looking at. So I kind of went over it a little bit here, but just really quick, we did bring in some games. I'll show you some pictures of those. The art was done by artists Mallory Batista and Mika Maloney. The parklet, again, food-based landscaping, a protected buffer essentially to buffer it from King Street, some traffic calming with bump outs to slow traffic down, and also those pedestrian crossings. We also had a second survey to essentially say thanks for coming, what did you think? And we got some good information off that as well. So this is going to start just a bunch of photos. I'll go through them and kind of give you an idea of what was going on. Again, just kind of wanted to give you a tour of the whole project. So this was on the Friday we set up. The Spokane Arts folks came out and started the mural, I believe the day before, in our not our Parks and Rec, but our Public Works. People actually set that up. The neighbors we talked to here, the gentleman who lives in that house there and the house on the right, had actually, we had that kind of crazy windstorm that night before, and a lot of these had been blown over, and the neighbors actually came out and set them back up, and I can't really talk about how supportive the neighbors were during this whole process. They were absolutely fantastic, very supportive. I spent a lot of time talking to them, and just really, really great to see that kind of community investment in the project. So this is, so this was the camera set up to monitor the pedestrian crossings. I'll talk about that data towards the end. Here are the Spokane Arts folks working on the mural. And then I'll just go through a couple of these, but we did have some help from the Department of Corrections crews. They came down and they helped us set up the project. That's Jason from SRTC. He's one of the planners over there. He came down and grabbed a shovel and did some work, so we appreciate that. And that is Tara from with the shovel there. Tara is a planner for STA, so Spokane Transit. She came down and she's been working on this project with us, and as you can see, she was doing some work as well. So there was a connected path that was actually visual. This is Rochelle Bradley from the Spokane tribe. She's their transportation planner, and she has been a very great partner to work on this project with. This is her starting to spray paint the path. You can kind of see her working on it there as well. And as this kind of goes forward, you can see how it starts at the sidewalk where the sidewalk ends, and essentially gives you a visual path to where the path within Sunset Park begins. So it's giving you a visual cue of where to walk if you're walking.
So not just a dog path.
No, not just a dog path, although dogs can walk on the path, so it works both ways. This is Rochelle Bradley again with Spokane Tribe, actually working hard with City Administrator Albert Tripp. They are playing a game of Connect Four, which I'm pretty sure they each won one game and then left, which is crazy to me that they didn't play a third game. But so this is kind of the end product. This is what the landscaping islands look like. All of those trees there are actually fruit trees. So the bushes are blueberries, the trees are apple, and I believe pear. But again, that just reinforces the idea of a healthy lifestyle and moving. The crosswalks you can see painted there are actually, I believe the plan is still to repaint those and keep those permanently. So those will stay. That's another shot of the mural there, which I actually think it turned out really well. I'm really happy with that. And
I personally like that mural thing. Looks really nice. It brings out I don't know, it brings out something on the road. It doesn't look like just a black road. Scary.
Yeah.
I really like that.
And this is kind of the end of the setup day where we have multiple games. So we have Frisbee tic-tac-toe, we have picnic tables, we have a Jenga set over there, we have a Connect 4. We actually had a checkerboard piece too, but that's behind the camera. And the last pictures from the setup here, I'll show you real quick. Again, yeah, just it ended up really, really well at the end of the first day. That poster there, again, Parks and Rec, they helped us out a lot. They allowed us to use their recreation facility to promote the project a lot. So I just wanted to put that there. But one thing that a lot of folks were really concerned about was the vandalism aspect of this. Was, oh, well, if you leave that stuff out, you know, it'll be stolen. And I think at the end of the project, and I still haven't verified this, so I'm not 100% sure, but out of everything we had out there, I believe we lost one piece from the Jenga set. Everything else was there when we put it up. It was there when we ended the project, and it was all donated to Parks and Rec to go into their summer program so the kids could use it. So that turned out really well. So this is actually, I'm going to just show a couple pictures from the day that Ben and Jerry's came out. This is some pictures. I did not take these pictures, but I think a lot of them turned out pretty well. So here's a sign we had up there. It was essentially inviting people to take the survey. And here are some kids on bikes having some ice cream at Ben and Jerry's. I wasn't here this time. Heather was. I believe there was at least, what, 100 people down there, something like that.
Wow.
So the engagement was great. It's kind of a wide shot.
This is excellent.
We got a picture of a kid
Oh
here
my
playing
God.
tic-tac-toe. Another really interesting thing was when I went to go, pick this stuff up, these frisbees, because the idea is it's tic-tac-toe, but they're frisbees, so you can throw them. And then if you make it, I guess you get the point. Somebody had written notes on the back of the frisbees. Some kids had written notes on them, and they wrote stop on the red ones and go on the blue ones. And after talking again to some of the neighbors, apparently some of the kids had been out, telling traffic what to do with those frisbees, and telling people to slow down and all sorts.
Wow.
Stephanie, was that your kids?
My kids don't leave the house.
Now they're gonna leave the house with all this new stuff coming in.
Right?
So some guerrilla traffic. Here's another really good picture of people just engaging with the space.
This is wonderful. This is
Yeah.
excellent. Very nice.
And there's the last picture of the setup. Again, people out, and I think they were playing some sort of game on each of the planets there. But really just the difference between, having this street not walkable and having it more walkable. I mean, you can see it there. So. And I only have a couple pictures here, but I wanted to show the breakdown piece. So as the project broke down, Public Works, came and grabbed a lot of this stuff. But I talked to Cal about this because towards the end of the day, I had a couple left, but we posted on the Airway Heights community Facebook group that we were going to be giving these trees away. And I had 7 or 8 people within the first 20 minutes come out. I sat out there for about 2 hours, just handed plants out to local people. And, some people came to pick their kids up from school, left with a blueberry bush. So, it was a really good time. Got to talk to a lot of the neighbors, and a lot of people had engaged with it. But very, very positive. Everybody got a tree. Cal, I let him know towards the end of the afternoon that I had a couple left, and one of his employees came down and I think he grabbed an apple tree. So that's kind of the last little bit of it there. And that's just kind of a last shot of the existing paw prints showing that connectivity. So that's going to live on past this project, as well as those pedestrian crossings. So. Just a quick overview of the survey. So after the conclusion of the process, we had a survey that ran for, I believe, a week or 2 weeks after the project. So some quick stats we pulled from that. Of all the features of the project, 50% of respondents like the landscaping the best. They really like that barrier separating the area, kind of designed for games and interaction from the street. They like having that protection. 42.86, which is a ridiculous number of respondents felt that the changes slowed cars down. If these changes were permanent, 62.5% of respondents would use the intersection to access the park more. So to me, that says that these people felt this was a good area to come in and they felt it was safe. So, some specific suggestions. Again, these are the more positive. We did get, some not so positive comments, which is going to happen. But, requests for making it permanent. There was a lot of requests for repaving and making sure King Street is fully paved. Sidewalk on the west side of King and 12th, or excuse me, 12th to 10th. And the last piece I have for you here is just the actual traffic counts we got from the that traffic counter there for pedestrians. So the blue which is on the left side here, that was the pre numbers before that was installed. So I believe that was June 9th through the 15th. As you can see, there's an average of 42 pedestrian crossings a day. The red side is during the event. The big one there is during that community event where Ben and Jerry's was out. And while the project was up, the average actually more than doubled to 88 pedestrian crossings a day. So just and without doing a ton of analysis here, just looking at the raw numbers, you can see how this type of a project actually engages people and really brings pedestrians into an area. And next steps, right now we don't have a ton. We are going to analyze the data, and there are potentially some grants we can use to, potentially maybe fund some more permanent projects. But this is a really good project to kind of show what we can do with a limited budget and really cool ideas. So I'll just end here by saying a lot of this wouldn't be possible without our partners. We had so much help from every single one of those partners I mentioned earlier. And also Heather, she pulled it together. She was able to pull all the trees, all that. That was all Heather. She did a terrific job. So again, really appreciate her help on that. So with that, if you guys have any questions or comments.
I got a quick question, Zach. I love the dog prints. Those are awesome, but they're not in thermoplasty or anything. So, over time, obviously they're going to wear down to nothing. Is there I assume there's a maintenance plan to repaint them, right? Every so often, or?
So not yet. Everything is spray paint. It's completely temporary. The only piece that is, I know for sure that we want to maintain is those pedestrian crossings. Although that is something that, in the future we would look at, it's a really simple thing to maintain and also keep permanent. So that would be something we could advocate for.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I think it's really cool. I like it.
Really, both of you, really nice. The city needs something like this now. The kids need it. Great. I didn't envision it to be like this when you first talked about it. But after looking at it, it makes sense.
Yeah. Now well, I can't speak for Heather, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. And the level of engagement we had was more than I was expecting. And also just the lack of any issue with stealing or destruction or anything like that. We had so many people make that comment, like, well, it doesn't matter. Whatever you put out is going to be gone. And we put it on a Friday, and I was kind of like on a Monday to go check it out. And yeah, like I said, I think we lost the Jenga piece, which is I think it really says a lot about the community and also the neighbors really taking ownership of the project and just doing a great job. So.
You're always going to have a few people that's going to be on the other side, but majority is on your side. That's a plus.
Sure.
Anybody have any questions? Great job, both of you.
Thank you. I want to just add a shout out for DOT. Shark K is here from DOT tonight, and they lent us those pedestrian bicycle counters so that we could get the data before and during the event. And Spokane County lent us some additional cameras to count vehicles so we could figure out, how many vehicles are going through the intersection. The street crew were absolutely phenomenal. They cleaned the street for 2 days before the event for us. They helped us with all the setup for all the cones and barrels. They were out there every single day checking on the project, making sure that, things stood up right, didn't get moved, watering the plants because it was super hot. Helped us with the tear down. They put together picnic tables. We were looking for, some way to help with people to, as a destination, sit and play the games. They put the picnic tables together for us and then carted everything away. And then our team partners, as Zach mentioned, were phenomenal with, visiting the site, doing research, participating and helping us get the word out through their various outlets for social media and engagement, and being there for the day of the event to set up. And the goal, this was all made possible because we received a grant from Smart Growth America, which was intending to teach all of us in this multi-agency team how to implement what's called complete streets. So making sure you think about all the other users of a roadway and include those elements in the roadway design. And they've really helped us. And the grant, by the way, since this came up as a question about the paw prints, we were actually only allowed to do temporary installation. We were prohibited from the grant from doing anything that would be permanent. So we weren't able to do, thermoplastic for the sidewalk or the striping. The goal would be for permanent, and our intent moving forward is that we're going to apply for the Safe Routes to School, which is a state grant next year when it opens up in 2022, and apply for this intersection and to put sidewalks all the way down 10th Avenue. And that project is estimated at $400,000 to $600,000. So this data that we collected and the survey, the photos, all of that, I think is going to help us strongly with that application. So a small investment based on a grant of basically less than $10,000 to help us maybe leverage $500,000 for a community project.
Thank you to all the partners. It was great effort. I had a question. Maybe a stupid question. I just thinking out loud. I was impressed by the mural on the street, the way it was set up, right? And hypothetically, if say Airway Heights did something like that on the streets, would you encourage people from outside just to come see like that? Normally, when you have a mural on the walls or graffiti or whatever you call, which is artwork, and you get tourists coming in, you get people coming in taking pictures. I'm just thinking out loud, is there anything like that we can do to Airway Heights where people are coming just to see this? I know this Cal Patel idea, but it's one of those things,
We're going to start with your house, Cal.
That's fine. I have no problem with that. bring the spray cans. No, I'm just thinking out loud. We have people moving into Airway Heights. We get an identity, but sometimes people come just to see something that's unique, something different from other cities. And I think the mural idea was great, but I don't know if other cities are doing it or not. But just my brainstorming. Thank you, guys. I won't say any more.
Well, Cal, that might be something that a public arts commission could really have a good discussion on.
Touche.
I like. We can stand up. People come to Airway Heights. Maybe the coffee shop will do better. The stores would do better because people are coming in now. Anyway, all right. If we don't have any further discussion about the Kring City project, I'd like to move to 2022 Airway Heights Comprehensive Plan logo, and I'll hand it over to Heather.
All right, thank you. Zach, can you pull up the first set of logos? Pretty please.
Yeah, give me just 1 second.
Yeah, sure. The Plan Commission is familiar with our project for 2021 and 2022 to update our comprehensive plan. And the meeting in May, we did a briefing on the consultants that were selected for the community engagement and visioning part. The city hired Big Sky Public Relations, And part of the package that they proposed was to create a logo for the comprehensive plan, colors and materials to help brand it. And why do we do that? We brand the materials so that as we begin the process for the comprehensive plan, through the various ways we reach out to the community to ask them about their perspective on bikes, bike trails, or commercial land uses, or on housing type, they'll be able to immediately recognize the materials that the City of Airway Heights project, and it just basically helps with identification and familiarity instantly. So basically recognition of the plan as it comes out, and that it's a city document. So the consultant of Big Sky Public Relations has developed some logos for that. And I'm going to ask Zach to just write like voting. So we wanted to bring this to the Plan Commission to see what you thought of some of these logos. We have also done this with the City Council as well as with city staff. We'd love to have your feedback, and we'll give it back to the consultant. So there's 2 sets of logos. So this is set 1, and I believe there's 5 logos in here, and we'll go through them really quickly, and then we'll go back through and ask you to say you like it or you don't like it, and you can vote as many times as you want. So there's no limitation. And remember, there's also a second set to the logos. So this first set, option 1, is essentially like a medallion, which has a plane going through a sunset, and what we think are representative of some fields with the name. Option 2 is a very different shape. Again, a plane coming out of a ray of the sunset. Again, a landscape background. And these are pretty similar in that they're using basically 3 colors, so a white background with 1 or 2 colors of green and kind of 2 colors of orange. You go down to the next ones, or am I in control? You're in control. Okay. Option 3 are hills, a plain over a sunset, over fields, and I think that those are trees. Option 4 puts the plane between Airway Heights, the 2 words, again, a sunset over some fields. And the last one in this set is number 5. Oh, I guess we have 6 on this one, which is a combination of a medallion as well as a name. And option 6, which is an open, unbordered version of a plane, a sunset, and fields over the name of the city and comprehensive plan. So they all are distinctly different in their shape and how they use the elements of a plane, the sunset, and fields or natural landscape. So we're gonna go back through, and might be easiest if you just raise your hand, Plan Commission members, on which option you like. So here's option 1. I got nobody. All right.
Cal
No, I
raised
did. I like that one.
Okay. And there's no wrong answer here, so you can not vote or vote however you want.
and vote as many
option-
times as you want. Just
Option 2.
donut. Oh, 1. There.
1. Okay. Option 3.
I don't like the trees.
Mark likes the trees.
Yes, sorry, Mark.
Double. Correct.
Oh, it's an opinion. I can't be wrong or right.
Option 4. I don't see anybody.
Mark,
Mark,
as well.
Mark,
I
Mark,
like 3 and 4, Heather.
Mark likes that.
You like 4 as well? Okay.
Yeah, I like 3 and 4.
Sorry, I'm scrolling back and forth because of the reduced screen that I have for everyone's faces. So if I miss it, call it out. Perfect. Option 5.
Okay.
Okay. And option 6.
I like 6.
Cal likes 6. Okay.
So
All right.
can I recap real quick?
Yes.
Option one person likes it. Option 2, one person likes it. Option 3, one person likes it. Option 4, one person likes it. Option 5, no one likes it. And option 6, one person likes it. So, all right.
All right. So let's thank you. Thank you. That's a good recap. Let's move on to the second set.
I like the colors better.
So we'll go through these quickly again so everybody can see them. Option 1 is again the medallion, brighter colors. So it's pretty much what we see on that one. Option 2, the frame has changed. So it's no longer window style. It's more of a square rectangle. Go down to option 3. Option 3, again, brighter colors, more colors used. Option 4 is only 2 colors, again, using a medallion. And option 5, no frame, only 2 colors. So we'll go back and get votes. Option 1,
I'm for option 1.
Cal and Hayes. Okay. Option 2. Stephanie. All right. Option 3. Stephanie, Cal.
Mark, where are you? Just kidding.
I'm waiting for option 5 over here.
Option 4, we're almost there. Okay, I don't see any hand.
I
Huh?
didn't like any of them.
Okay. Option 5. Mark. All right.
Tough crowd, man.
Tough crowd. What's the tally, Zach?
Option 1 is 2. Option 2 is 1. Option 3 is 2. Option 4 is 0. And option 5 is 1. So no consensus whatsoever.
I think we need to
What a
take the
great
zeros.
help.
Yeah, we can throw the zeros out. That's fine. There are only the only 2 that had more than 1 vote were this guy here, option 1, and option 3.
I would do 3. Yeah, 3.
Hank, did you not like any of the second set?
I liked 1. I raised my hand.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, any other feedback about the logo? So you got the chance to see the 2 sets that the consultant has made. Is there any feedback that you have about general changes that you'd like to see in a next iteration? I mean, you've already voted, but like, you want to see purple or
Pink.
Definitely like the more colorful versions.
I just wish we had something here in Airway Heights besides a plane to put on our city. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
Seattle has a Space Needle, but we don't have anything like that or close to that besides these planes, which I hear all the time.
We got
That's
planes
our
and planes.
Identity.
Yeah.
That's our identity, I guess.
We have
Well,
a water tower.
That's good feedback about, maybe not having the plane. We have heard that a lot of people associate Airway Heights with sunsets, which is one of the reasons why the sun is represented in every logo.
Sure. And we definitely see the planes, right? I mean, that's a given. So that's not going to surprise anybody if they happen to see it on our logo. But it's just, it is what it is, but it's a shame we don't have some really cool piece of giant artwork for Cal. out
Well,
in the
maybe
front.
through the new commission, we will.
Uh,
New commission, new art commission will have something new to put on, maybe.
or, here's a thought, Cal. What do you think about just erecting a statue of Heather? What do you think?
Not yet. She's got a lot of work to do.
For all the work she's done.
She's
and all-
done a great job. I'll be honest. I'll be the first one to say Zach and Heather have done a wonderful job in this committee from where we started, where we are today. So I would never, but she's not ready for a statue yet.
Hey, but you know what we could do, Cal?
We can do a
Seriously?
picture, a
We could have a
mural. We can
pen.
do a mural.
We could have one of those benches and have a little gold plaque on there with Heather's name on it, maybe one with Zach's
We
name
can
on it.
do that. That's a good idea.
Huh?
We'll put that up
Dedicated
to
to
the art
Heather,
committee.
dedicated to Zach.
They've done a
Uh,
great job, to be honest
no,
with you. They've turned this whole planning commissioner around, both of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've done a great job. I have to say that.
Well, thank you very much. How about this? Someday when you review a development, name a street after me. How about that?
Street. Okay.
Nice.
When you have a pay raise review, call us. We'll help you
Oh, yeah.
there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. No, this is fun. This is fun every day. I really enjoy it, and you guys make it fun. So I'm really looking forward to another project that we're working on, and helping to define the identity of Airway Heights. And this is part of that. We hear from other residents, and other campaigns, public engagement campaigns about how people really feel like this is a real town, which it wasn't prior to 1954. It was, just a way stop on the way to the Galena airstrip. And, people want everyone outside of Airway Heights to know, this is a community. This is just a place that you pass through. And, this logo is part of that, helping to create that identity. So what do you think is the identity? I certainly think Hank has a point, which is not yet, we may
Right.
not have an iconic structure, but there are iconic things about Airway Heights, and, should they be included in a logo to help, brand our community moving forward?
Just a
No,
personal
he's
opinion,
right though. It's
just a personal opinion, but I think more colors may be a little bit more attractive and catch the eye better.
Different colors or just brighter colors of these colors?
something I
I
catch,
feel like
right?
that these colors all just blend in together. The orange, red, and yellows, they're just all blending in. That's why I preferred the blue contrasting with the white and red. It just contrasted better and drew my eyes in. I'm saying it's an opinion. Yeah, to me, that color just contrasts better instead of all looking very similar.
Something that as I was kind of trying to think of what's iconic about Airway Heights that not many people know, and that is Airway Heights is really part of the Missoula flood impact to our area. I mean, we hear all the time when Kevin Anderson, our public works director, talks about what's below the surface of Airway Heights is there's historic rivers underneath of Airway Heights. We have these
Wow.
Pleistocene channels essentially all through Airway Heights, and so
That's interesting.
yeah, it's something most people don't know. I think most people think of Dry Falls when they think of a local example of the Great Missoula floods, but we've certainly been affected, I think, by that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. The whole rec center is basically sitting on top of a prehistoric riverbed.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Is that why they built it there, Heather?
I don't think so. They didn't discover that until they began excavations, but that's one of the reasons why when we have development in Airway Heights, we have pockets of, feet, 13 feet deep of just sand with gravel versus 4 inches below the surface is rock, is, the borders of some of these channels. So anyway, just, thinking of kind of iconic, things that come to mind that might do that. And then, of course, we also are a community where we have not only impacts by Fairchild, but Spokane International Airport. And we have 2 tribal entities within our corporate limits, which is very unique.
Some sort of a crossroads theme, because Airway Heights really is. There's, like Heather was just talking about, and that's also Spokane International Airport's here too. Department of Corrections. It's, you know, we spent a lot of time talking about that today, so it's on the mind. So,
So what are we putting, a barbed wire fence around the logo now? Is that what we're gonna do?
No, but it could be some theme about where entities meet
yeah.
and intersect.
Well, that's
You know,
cool.
So it could be an emblem of representing intersection, or, you know, Zach's idea of the crossroads. This area has been known, you know, frequently as the top of Sunset Hill.
There is a big diversity of different things going on, and the city's rapidly growing, and it's coming from all different industries. So that diversity too can be a part of our identity.
Absolutely. That's something that we heard with the downtown plan is we have a lot of diversity in our downtown. And, you know, one of the ideas is, you know, should we call our downtown an international district? Because we have a lot of people from different backgrounds, you know, living and working in our community.
Zoom makes these things awkward at times because you don't know if somebody's going to speak out, and then we get these awkward pauses.
Or
They're
we're
not
waiting
awkward
for you,
until you
Mark.
say they're awkward. So
Any more discussion about the logos? No. So what's the next step with the logos now?
We'll provide the feedback and basically the kind of informal tallying back to the consultant. And they'll take that with the feedback from the council and from the staff, and they'll probably come up with,
Okay.
you know, maybe another version for all of us to take a look at. But I expect to see probably another version. How many of those there would be, I don't know. But they do have a graphic designer, a professional graphic designer that's been working on this. So
So the city council hasn't discussed this yet, right? I guess.
no, they did exactly what you guys just did, and just gave
Oh,
general comments
okay.
and preferences.
Ooh, what did they like?
I don't remember. So,
They're just curious.
it was very similar to what you guys were saying, though. There was no consensus on anything. So
Oh, wow.
we did hear brighter colors as a recommendation.
It's almost like a 70s vibe, the color scheme that's going on right now, you know?
that
Yeah,
third option, the font they used is totally 70s. I actually love it.
I know, I do too. Well, and that was one of the things, like, when was the city of Airway Heights incorporated? Like, even if you scroll back to like that era and kind of bring that into it, that might be kind
It was
of
the early 50s, I believe. So
54.
retro. Yeah. There you go.
Is there a high school coming in our future? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, there is.
Is that high school going to be the Falcons as well, just like the elementary school is? Do we know that at all or no?
I don't know if
you'd
Heather.
have to ask the district on that one.
Just say the Falcon may be something cool to kind of incorporate into that as well.
That's a great idea. Well, we can forward all these ideas on to the consultant and see.
That would certainly, I'd prefer that over the plane.
You don't like the noise of the plane, I think, you know?
Oh, I love the noise.
Maybe, you know, the spread wings of a falcon, you know, in front of us.
But that's a great idea. I mean, you know, with respect to the high school, if in fact the mascot, if you will, is going to be a falcon, I think Mark brought up an excellent idea that would be a lot better to brand us than the plane. I mean, those planes, trust me, it'll take the guesswork out of them. The first time they're here, they'll figure it out real quick. But yeah, I like that falcon thing.
Well, thank you everybody for the great feedback. It was a great discussion. Our next report to you will likely be around the development of the stakeholder outreach process. So as Zach mentioned, we met for 3 straight hours today talking about stakeholder engagement. And so we're really looking forward to it. The consultant, which is Big Sky, is going to come up there. Part of the proposal and their bid is they're going to do customized engagement. They're going to do something specific to each type of group. So we're looking forward to seeing what they propose and, you know, who they're going to reach out to and how. And then the next step after that will be to do the kind of the first event, which will be the visioning event. So we'll keep you updated on the process, but we just want to keep you involved. And if there's anything you'd like to help with, we'd sure love to see you at these events and activities as they come up. So I think the next item
is C, which will be in-person planning commissioner meeting. So I'd like to open up that for discussion, how the commissioners feel. I don't want to say anything first, I'll say later. So you guys start, please.
I'll go first, Cal. I'm ready to get back into person doing things. I'll be honest, I feel comfortable being around groups of people.
Hank?
I've always been that way. I really never changed. I never wore the mask. I went everywhere I wanted. I never wore the mask, and I don't know, nobody bothered me. So, but I'm with Mark. I asked the question. I scooted in a question to Zach, just, kind of just as an inquiry. When are we going to sort of, get back together in person? And it looked like we were going to continue down this path of the Zoom thing, but I'm with Mark. I'm ready to do that. If everybody else feels the same way.
Stephanie?
I agree. I've been out and about and doing the things, so I'm ready to be around more people.
Oh, we do have some.
Go ahead.
Apologize. Go ahead.
I was thinking a hybrid model would be great. We have in person, but sometimes people, when we have conflicts in our agendas where we can't come to the meeting because of some reason, like for example, Mark is traveling today or somebody else was traveling, I like to have the option of the Zoom meeting too. I've seen more public engagement and other staff members on the Zoom platform rather than in-person meetings, because my experience with the PC is that when we have the meetings at town hall, sometimes nobody shows up. There's only 4 or 5 of us, and I don't see anybody from the public. I see Kevin or Albert or somebody because they have a reason to be there. But I find out with Zoom that there are a lot of people that engage just to listen to what we're saying. So I'm kind of on a double side on this. The hybrid model will work great, but I would like to keep the Zoom alive. And also in person, I think it's important, but I kind of think that both being tied together would work better for us. Go ahead, Heather, I'm done now.
Can we do that? Can we do a hybrid model? Because I think that would be way more practical for everybody. But I also know it flows better in person.
We can do a hybrid model, and Zach actually attended Monday's council meeting, so he can report on what the council decided to do. And then also he reached out to multiple agencies to see what they were doing right now with regards to transitioning back. So it is possible, yes, to do a hybrid. Zach, do you want to go ahead and give an update on the council's decision and what you found?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things there. First, on Monday, the city council had this same conversation, and they're in a little different situation because they meet typically weekly, and every other week is a study session for them. So what they went ahead and decided to do was, starting in August, they were going to do their legislative sessions in person in their study sessions on Zoom. So they're kind of going back on like a halfway point at this point. I did go and take a look and researched who's doing what, at least in the area. And Spokane County, Medical Lake, Liberty Lake, and Deer Park, as of this month, are not doing in person. Cheney and Spokane Valley are both doing hybrid as of this month, and Millwood needs to update their materials. So to give you a general idea, and this may change by August, obviously things are fluid. I know there are several members on the city council that are adamant about doing a hybrid model. I think a hybrid model is good because I think some of the stuff Cal brought up about access is really important. I don't know if we have that infrastructure in place yet. I need to check in with some of the staff who run city council sessions to see what their plan is. So at this point, it is possible in a theoretical standpoint, like it should be fine. But the actual boots on the ground, I didn't need to actually do a little more research to see if we can have that going and when we can have that going. So I think it sounds like everyone's kind of okay with the hybrid model. I guess now I think the conversation would be timing on that. One of our options would be to wait and see how city council goes. Since we meet monthly, it kind of makes it a little more flexible on that. Or, whatever you guys want to do, we could have the same, we're not making decisions, it's just a workshop. So we could have the same conversation next month, and if they're successful, move forward. But it's your decision, so.
Well, what about, we said that for us, been meeting in person is great, but from the staff's perspective, you and Heather, what do you guys feel? Because this whole thing has changed everybody's perspective on time and convenience and whatever you want to say. But I would like to know how the staff feels about in-person versus Zoom, because I think it's important to know your feelings as much as well as our feelings. Because you guys do spend a lot of time in meetings and, you have a life besides this too. So if you can share that with us, it would be great.
Heather?
Well, sure. We could, from my perspective, we will do what the Plan Commission wants to do. So if you want to meet in person, then we certainly would be there in person with you. That does mean opening up the courtroom, which is where we used to meet, to the public and having the public in there. Or we could continue with the Zoom, or we could do a hybrid. The reason why Zach's so hesitant, and I agree with him, is because most of the Plan Commission is new. Cal and Mark already know this, but the Plan Commission meetings are a public record and they're recorded. So when we were in the courtroom, our meetings were recorded with different technology that's permanently based in that facility. And we're not certain that equipment has the ability to cross over and allow for a Zoom meeting. And the difference is that the recording, I believe, was delayed, but Zoom is real time.
Okay.
Because because the way it was set up is the way that meetings have been for decades, which is if you want to testify, you have to physically be there. So everybody who's gonna participate is participating in the meeting at that moment, and that's why they're recorded and then they can be broadcast at a different schedule.
And that was only audio.
It was video and audio.
Oh, was it video? Okay, I thought it was only audio.
Yeah, there's video and audio. Whereas Zoom technology, in order to participate, we have to have the cameras, the audio, and the ability to do the feedback so that if that for commission members that may be participating in Zoom, those that may be participating in the courtroom, but that the public is able to participate via the Zoom as well as in person. That's the technology that at this point, while the decision's been made, we're not certain that the staff has had a chance to figure it all out. So to answer your question, we will do what the Plan Commission wants to do, but I would recommend delaying potentially a start until maybe September and allow for the kinks to be resolved, which would occur through at least 2 meetings in August of the city council to see if it's going to work, or if it's not, if there's additional equipment that has to be purchased, or what would be needed to actually make it work. If you really wanted to do in person by August, then I would advise that we probably could only commit to actually doing in person and doing the recording and play it later and make our announcement say that it's participation only in the room, because I'm anxiously waiting to see what happens in 2 weeks.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I personally think we should just wait then and defer till city council makes its decision and follow that, as long as it's a technical issue, not a moral issue.
They have made the decision to begin doing in-person meetings on August 2nd.
Yeah.
But I can't promise that it will turn out to be a hybrid meeting at that meeting, but they will be doing an in-person meeting.
Yes, they did not commit to hybrid Zoom on August 2nd. They committed in person. It is my understanding that they're still looking into that. It's just hard to really say more than that because I don't know what it's going to look like until they actually do it. So
I guess to get the city council fixed up and see how things go, and then we can follow their step.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That would probably be a good idea, rather than us saying that, hey, let's start this next month. But at least the conversation's on the table now, and at least everybody's opinions are viewed.
Well, Cal, there's no reason why we couldn't on this Zoom platform. Obviously, we can carry out our business and get whatever we need done. And, certainly an added bonus is you could be there, you could be wearing pajama bottoms and we wouldn't even know, right?
You want to see what I'm wearing?
So there's a benefit to that, right? I mean,
look, being
but
on Zoom I found out Zoom to be a very good tool, because
it's great.
I come home, I'm ready for the meeting. Before, I used to be at work and I in a marijuana business. So I always came home, took a shower, changed my clothes and came to the meeting, because that courtroom was going to smell.
Wait a second.
But that's my
What did you just say?
personal thing. What's that?
Wait a minute, back up, Cal. What did
What's
you
that?
what kind of business do you run? I missed that.
Cannabis, marijuana.
Really?
Me and Mark both.
In Airway Heights?
Yes, sir.
Which one?
I'm no.
Me too.
It's off record afterwards.
I don't know where you're
come
getting
on,
at
Mark.
with this, but I'm gonna be very honest with you. Our clothes do smell, and we don't realize that.
Okay.
Very
We're
good.
nose blind to it completely.
I one time we were at Walmart with my wife, not to go out of step. There was 2 little kids saying, "Dad, it smells like skunk here," and my wife refuses to go shopping right after work now because of that reason. I mean, it was embarrassing, to be honest with you.
Well, you know what? Hey, I much appreciated the fact that you shared that information, Cal.
Now I come straight from work, Zoom. I don't have to change nothing. And I'm sure you don't want to see what I'm wearing right now.
Well, you know what?
No
And
kidding.
there's an additional benefit to the Zoom platform too. In the wintertime, if it's nasty out, you don't
We
have
have the option, right?
yeah, you don't have to slodge through the snow and ice and all that.
I'll
And
tell you what, I would like to propose, if it's okay, all of us to go breakfast next week and meet to each other, and if we can do that, and I will take care of breakfast. You pick the date.
I'd love to have breakfast with you, but I came out of retirement and I work for a law firm now, so I'm busy in the morning.
So let's do. I'm just giving the option. If you guys want to see what we look like or what we are, let's do
Cal,
that.
that would be awesome, but do we break those rules if we do that?
No, if we all go together, it's okay. We can't go
Okay.
in groups.
Yeah,
That's why I said all of us. And we won't talk about the meetings.
yeah, you can socialize. You just can't talk about any business at all.
Business.
You know, and you know, ideally, you know, you'd show up
We can talk
at a
about
place
ourselves, you know, what we do.
and talk. You can talk about yourself. You just wouldn't be able to talk in any way about any planning commission related business because
Right.
that would require a special meeting notice.
So I
and
would like to
advertise.
propose that if everybody wants to do that, I'd like to do it.
That'd be
Seems
cool.
like we've got a lot in common, so.
Yeah, you guys.
Don't invite the public to that meeting, please.
Well,
All right.
yeah, you can certainly do that. So, you know, just there's a lot of advantages to Zoom. Hank brought up the great one about the weather. You know, last year, whether it was super hot or it was snowy because we had horrible, horrible snow conditions in February last year. It did enable for participation. And so what we can do is we can work on what it would take to do a hybrid platform where we could have, you know, some commissioners present in the meeting room, you know, some available through Zoom and make it through a Zoom platform, you know, and figure out how to do the recording. But in the interim, just the clarity is, do you want to do an in-person meeting for your August meeting? And there would be no Zoom. I can't commit to having a Zoom, but we could do an in-person meeting in August or delay changing from your Zoom platform until potentially September and seeing how the council's two in-person meetings go and their two Zoom-only meetings go.
I'm open to either, so let's see how everybody feels. But my personal recommendation is wait till city council irons out the technical, whatever technical aspect of it. And if it works seamless, then I think we should move forward, but it's, you know, up to everybody else.
I second that, Cal, that same exact sentiment.
It's not, we waited a year now, another couple of months, you know, ain't gonna hurt us.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
Well, we'll,
And Hank, hey, if you want to meet in person, breakfast is open, okay?
Hey, but take a shower first.
I will do that.
Well, he hasn't gone to
I'll
work
take 2
yet.
showers.
We'll just go first thing, no work, just straight to breakfast.
I mean, I would like us to do that if everybody is open to that, is have a breakfast or something together at, what's that place, Willie's, right next to Yolks? So, you know, let me know if we want to do that, or let's do that.
I'll
It'll be
come,
great.
see, I can, if we do it early, I can go before I come out to the valley for work, because I live.
You tell me what time, man. I'll be there at 5 o'clock. But whatever works for everybody. If we want to just get together because we haven't met each other, that's fine. But we won't talk about the planning commissioner.
So can we just do that after the meeting when we get off the meeting ends, maybe have a discussion and see if that's something we all want to do and learn, talk about schedules and stuff?
Yeah, we could do that. I don't know.
If you want to, you know, have coffee and, you know, get to know each other on a personal level, you know, we can do that after the end of the meeting, after we shut off the recording.
Okay, so it'll be off the record.
So we'll report next month to you guys and let you know how city council goes and let you know where they're at. And we can just go from there. Does that sound okay?
Awesome.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, guys. So I think we're done with the workshop. I'm gonna start the commissioner's report. And I would, sorry, Stephanie, I didn't welcome you in the beginning. I felt like you were already here, so I would like to welcome you to the committee, and we would appreciate that you've joined, and it is a lot of time, so thank you for coming aboard.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And if any commissioners wants to start with any kind of reports, please go ahead.
I don't have anything to add, Cal.
Hank?
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, you can. It's your time now.
Well, you know, I think one of the primary concerns that Airway Heights has is the water quality. I've seen that more than once. And so with that, I reached out to the Kevin Anderson, who I was, recommended to email, and I did. And I reached out to Albert Tripp, and the only reason I did that is because I was curious to know if either of them had any discussions with anyone from the city of Issaquah. Now, Issaquah, on the left-hand side of the state, had a real problem with PFAS, and we've had a lot of discussion and a lot of workshops and what have you on that. But they installed what's called a TIG system. It's a TIG filtering system. It doesn't take up a real big footprint. It's, I don't know, maybe 40 feet or something like that. But this filtering system exceeded their expectations. This thing filtered out all the PFAS, the water's safe to drink, all of that. So they were very, very pleased with the result. And so I was just curious if that had been explored at all, but I haven't heard back from anyone. So I still have this, I'm still at square one. I don't know if that's happened or not, because we've been talking about making sure that we have 16 million in the budget, legislatively to drill a new well. Well, that's why I was curious to know hey, did you guys talk to anybody in Issaquah and see, how they feel about it? Because I know it worked really well.
We can help facilitate an answer to that question for you, Hank, as far as the TIG system in Issaquah. What we know officially, because this was briefed at a city council meeting 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
is that it may not have been a city council meeting. It might have been a department briefing, but the city's official position currently is that they want to pursue the new water source. The Department of Defense's official position is that they want to do the same type of filtration system that they're currently using on
Okay.
one of the wells. And the TIG acronym does not sound like the system that they have currently on the well. It's called Reserve Well 9. It might maybe the number's wrong, but I think it's what it's called.
Okay.
Oh, I know where I got it from. We were getting a summary from our engineer for preparation for the comprehensive plan. So the city has been pursuing the funding and working on water rights for a well in the Rathrum Prairie water system. But we can help make that connection still with Kevin and Albert to see what background led up to that position of the city and the city council to pursue a new well, and is trying to negotiate with the Department of Defense on a new well location in a well area completely outside of the aquifer that Airway Heights is currently in.
Well, that's good then, if that's what's happening, because I did send a letter to that effect to support the 16 million and maintain that in the budget for that very reason to all the senators and what have you and the legislators in the state of Washington. But in truth, it could cost upwards of 22 million when it's all said and done. So I don't know if there's going to be a budget shortfall or not, but chances are that TIG system is a lot less expense. That's kind of why I asked the question. But yeah, I would appreciate it if you could at least, maybe what you just said is the final answer. No, we're We're not going to look at a filtering system. We're not interested. We want to go and, drill a new well, and that's fine. Not a problem.
Well, we'll certainly do that. I will add that the price tag for purposes of the legislative ask were based on 2 locations for obtaining water from a new aquifer. They went ahead and identified the most expensive option so that they would be able to cover the costs in the fundraising. There is another option closer in, but still within the Rathdrum aquifer that's less expensive. So part of this is the complexity, as I'm reading this document from our engineer, with the state of Washington's water rights through the Department of Ecology, and how the city is trying to use our existing water rights, which are up here, but the water from up here eventually flows down into that Rathdrum Prairie, and talking about it would be a no net gain of water rights by where they drill the water, because the water from here eventually flows into the aquifer downstream, which is closer to the Deep Creek. I think it's the Deep Creek Spokane River confluence. So a lot of technical information there, but that has been what the city's been pursuing and why.
Okay.
And I'll make sure that I communicate both with Albert and Kevin and ask them to get some information back to you about the TIG system.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any other comments before we move forward? I'll open it up to staff reports.
Zach, you want to go ahead and go first?
Yeah, sure. Well, just to echo what Cal said, want to welcome Stephanie. Sorry it took a little bit, but glad you're here.
No problem.
Awesome. Just thank you guys for your dedication. We didn't have anything for you last month, so you got a month off. So hope you enjoyed it, because that's not going to happen a lot. So I'm getting used to it. Heather's probably going to talk about this, but we did meet with Big Sky PR and Framework this afternoon regarding the 2022 comp plan update. It was our first meeting. It was quite a meeting. There's a lot going on there. I'm really excited to work with Big Sky. The level of detail they're looking at, going at with their public relations, and just trying to see how we interact with all of our partners in Spokane County and Fairchild and all these other places. Just it was really impressive, the level at which Big Sky is going to make sure they're interacting with everybody the right fashion. So really excited to work on that. We have, as always, we have major projects going through environmental review right now. We don't expect to get those done here pretty quick. All sorts of single family houses are being put in still. That's just a constant all the time. We're having housing. On the GIS side of stuff, we're starting to look at the logistics of how we can expand our utility GIS, and that's going to be a really big project, but it's starting to come into focus a little bit about the actual logistics of how we can monitor and take care of our utilities as best we can. So we're looking at that. Yeah, we're busy. So
that's good.
Nice.
So projects that are going on, just a reminder that you can look at any current permit going through the process through the GIS portal that Zach made on the planning department website. That'll take you directly to our permit system, and it'll tell you what kind of permits that we have. So we're still processing the 187,000 square foot Amazon facility. They added on significantly 30 more acres to the project. It's going to be one of the first facilities in the United States that's using a completely electric fleet vehicle. So that Ford that is being made under another brand so scheduled to come to the site. So most of that parking is for these electric fleet vehicles to do direct delivery. We are also continuing to participate and monitor a couple of applications that are adjacent to the city. Another 200,000 square foot facility, warehouse facility immediately adjacent to this Amazon complex, which will also be on McFarland Road. The airport is doing a couple of development projects that we're commenting on. There is more development occurring along US Highway 2, so that interface there, really around kind of Flint Road, between Deer Heights and Flint Road, that's in the city of Spokane, is developing pretty rapidly. We're looking at transportation impacts and commenting on that. The urban growth area boundary application we talked about in May, that would bring 180 acres potentially to a future annexation area for Airway Heights. Did have a couple of hearings in the last month that Zach and I attended, and the Planning Commission for the county has recommended approval, and the steering committee of elected officials, which is made up of a variety of elected officials for Spokane County and all the cities, recommended that it move forward contingent upon some additional studies for impacts. So there's still some hurdles for them to go through, which includes making a capital facilities and transportation chapter change to the county's comp plan to address how it's going to be served. So this is 180 acres north of the North 40 site and immediately adjacent to Sakani. That would be commercial, industrial, residential, and a potential future site for Cheney School District, like the high school or middle school. So we may see a decision from the county this summer on that. We're also commenting on an application in the county immediately north of the recreation center across Dino Road that's proposing more mineral lands, which would be for mining and for a new asphalt plant there. And so the city has concerns about more area north of the city becoming mineral land. For those of you who are more familiar, and this is something we could probably do more of a workshop with the Planning Commission. Airway Heights is very constrained for residential development because of the overlay zones we've adopted related to Fairchild Air Force Base and Spokane National Airport. And so our only options for gathering additional land for residential development is north. So converting to mining is a concern to the city because it ties it up for 20 to 50 years as a mineral extraction, as well as the impacts, the blasting and the dust and the noise and the smell north of the city limits. So a lot of pieces are certainly moving forward as far as there's a lot of development occurring on the West Plains that we're continuing to be engaged in as an agency and representing the city. So I brought that up because something that periodically the commission asks for is like, what's going on? What development is happening out there?
Hey, Heather, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, I seem to recall something where I looked on a website for Spokane, and they had kind of a simple list of all the construction projects were ongoing. And what I was curious about, because I noodled through the City of Airway Heights website a little bit to see if I could find something similar, because what happens to me is I'll be driving down the road and I'll see all this heavy equipment digging in the dirt, but I don't see a sign that says, hey, this is going to be an urgent care or whatever it's going to be. And then I scratch my head and I think, what is that? I'm on the Planning Commission. I should know what that is, but I don't, necessarily. So where should is there a go-to somewhere on the City of Airway Heights that would just take care of all that for me?
So you can get there two ways.
Okay.
One way is to go to the City of Airway Heights Building Department's website. And in the middle of their page is a portal to the permit system. If you click on that, it'll bring up a map that shows you all of the current projects. And you just hover over it with your mouse and it'll give you a permit number
Oh,
in a basic
okay.
description. Zach just gave you the link in the chat for Zoom, and this is what it looks like.
Okay.
So can you, there you go.
You know, I think I visited I think I visited that where I was clicking on all the little dots and it would bring up a permit number and stuff. Yeah. So, okay. So if it was a business per se, like a Costco, it would say Costco, right?
No, because typically permits are taken out by the contractor. So
Okay.
we try to have a description of the project, but they don't always tell us.
Okay.
For example, the Amazon facility is not called Amazon because that's not the name that the project applicant gave us for the project.
That's what now that you know, Zach brings that up. I remember going to that, but I couldn't find a name. That's where I got hung up. I couldn't tell what that was gonna be, you know. And so
Yeah.
finally I'm driving down the road and I see Indigo Urgent Care. Oh, that's gonna be an urgent care. And then there's a dental office, you know, all that sort of thing. So
This,
Typically for, go ahead, Zach.
oh, this is that Amazon one. So this is what you'll see is McFarland Industrial Park, TI, which is tenant improvement, and SEPA, which is the environmental review.
right. Yeah, but see, like, and to Heather's point, it doesn't say Amazon on it, you know.
To be
Developers
fair,
don't,
they didn't tell us it was Amazon at first either. So
Oh, okay.
they didn't. There is, and Mark and Cal and Stephanie can speak to this as business owners. You may be doing things that you don't want your competitors
Others to
knowing
know. Yeah, right.
until such time as you're ready to make that announcement. So it's not unusual, to have, New Tech Park or, McFarland Warehouse because they're doing it under a generic permit.
So that's,
Now, the
and
other
I
side of the coin,
appreciate that. Thank you, Zach, for bringing that up because, yeah, that's exactly where I was, but I was frustrated because when I bring it up, I see the permit number. I couldn't determine, but what's that going to be? There's no
Yeah.
name associated with it. So thank you very much. That cleared up a lot.
sure. And Hank, you can always call or email us if there's a specific question on the project.
Okay, but you get my drift, right, Zach?
Yeah.
All equipment digging in the dirt. What is that? And who knows? So, okay.
So Heather, you mentioned Amazon bringing this extra 30,000 square feet, and it's going to be for this electrical vehicle fleet.
38.
38. Sorry. I'm just thinking the impact to that road. McFarland's getting busier and busier. I mean, I remember 6-7 years ago, that road hardly ever got traveled. You add in that exotic metals and it's crazy at their start time and their close time. So now you're adding in this Amazon facility that's just going to add in that much more. Are we thinking about that impact long-term?
Yes. So the permit that Zach highlighted is the environmental review on that project. So when they added the 30 acres and 1,000 more parking spaces, they triggered a requirement for another environmental review. And while I say environmental, the State Environmental Policy Act is actually a law that requires projects over a certain size to be reviewed for natural and man-made impacts and to look at what we should be doing to mitigate those. And that's where that project is right now. The notice for public comment on that project starts tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be taking comments from the public and agencies as to what are the transportation impacts, are there light and glare impacts, are there energy efficiency issues, are there any wetlands on the property? I mean, because the checklist is about 16 questions of all those factors, and we take comments, and then the city renders a decision about how to mitigate those based on recommendations from professional subject matter experts or from codes that tell us how we should look at mitigating those conditions. And then those become binding conditions on the project.
Nice. Did Amazon say anything about why they chose to do that? Just out of curiosity, thinking future growth?
They didn't directly tell us, but we gathered through looking it up through public media sources, is that Amazon is taking over their own distribution, and so that they're not going to be using secondary delivery services like the United States Postal Service as much, or maybe at all in the future. In order, so they're taking it in-house as a business model, and that business model is to look at a total package of sustainability and energy efficiency and cost effectiveness. And so the Amazon has a couple of years ago contracted with a spinoff from Ford that is creating and building a electric van specifically for Amazon. And I think the contract is worth $1 billion because they're doing this as a model throughout the United States. They happen to be doing it here in Airway Heights as one of the first locations. And so we know this from the permit review that because we did a first permit review on a shell only. That's not uncommon, just on the shell, because it was going to be a warehouse. And now we see, the full pieces of what that project is, including, the 1,000 parking spaces with electrical plug-ins. So they're gonna have 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they didn't specifically choose Airway Heights for this project. This is just going into their future growth.
Well, they're expanding pretty substantially, and again, looking at other media sites. I mean, they don't sit down with us and say, this is our corporate plan. What they do is say, I want to get a building permit. How long is it going to take, and what do I have to submit with my plan? That's the conversation we have.
If you don't do it, I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what I really want to know, is so we can make sure we keep getting that growth.
Well, so number one, the Amazon shipping facility was built in the county. And so that became a hub potentially for the expansion of their business. And then they looked, and there's been news articles about this in Spokesman Review, for other locations where they could start doing these other components of the business. And so it was, private property owners looking to bring a business to a facility that they wanted to build, and creating that partnership, and building a building. That all happens outside the view of the city. So that sometimes development will come to the city and say, I'm interested in being in your community. What can you do for me as far as an incentive? And we're legally allowed to do certain things, like our general facility charges for water and sewer, which is the hookup fee. We're able to do modifications to that, and a few other things. So that does happen, but not as often as a property owner wanting to attract a certain kind of business and talking about what they would do in order to build it to bring them to the location. And I would say the proximity to the Amazon shipping facility out in the county on Hayford Road, or east of Hayford Road, is a significant factor of that for us.
Gotcha. Thank you. I appreciate that, Heather.
Oh no, well, I mean, it's a long answer, but economic development attraction, is a whole nother another line of work, in addition to that. And I know the city would very much like to do that. Mark very much would like to be more active in attracting business to our area.
Yeah, I know when we started doing that comp plan last year, that was one of the things we were discussing, is which industries we were going to try to attract to Airway Heights. And I don't think we ever talked about Amazon or electric vehicle facilities. Like that was never even part of the equation. We were stuck on aircraft and or aerospace industry and stuff. So to see that, that's really interesting.
It is, and it also shows, why plans get updated or why strategies, may go a little bit different direction than you started with policy, because things can change that fast. I mean, that Amazon facility isn't even a year old, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It was occupied July of last year, I think, where they were moving racks and stuff into it. I'm not sure it was even fully operational till.
They have Amazon as a thing that they'll build a plant and leave it for 1 year before they'll make it operational. Once the plant is ready, they'll leave it for a year before they start hiring people.
Well, they did. They are moving into a similar facility for the distribution, just like we have in McFarland over in Spokane Valley in their industrial park. They were going to go in North Spokane, and they abandoned that. They walked away.
That old Lowe's building.
Yes.
The old Lowe's building. Because of publicly, they said it was because of the delays in permitting. Hence, market. They just want to know how fast they can get their permit, and
They have no problem
I
moving
understand
into
that
different
side.
towns.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of towns want them. Some towns don't want them, though.
true. Just like some communities didn't want Walmart 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of the current planning. Just a great revisit. Thank you, Zach, for bringing up the permit portal so you guys can see what's going on.
Heather, I wanted to mention one more thing.
Sure.
Not that I have anything of substance to say about it, but in the idea that just keeping you guys up on what's going on. You may already have heard that the Kalispell tribe did purchase the 220 acres in northern Airway Heights.
Raceway.
Yeah. So, like I said, I don't have much to say about it, but if you didn't know, now you do. And we'll keep you up on that if we hear anything. So.
Would they finally pay for it?
6.2 somewhere in there. From what I understand, there were multiple bidders on it, and Kalispell just outbid them all. So. Like I said, I don't have much to say about it, but just so you guys know. So.
No, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anything else, stuff? Let's see, what's the next thing now? Wow. We're going to agenda meeting now. We're going to agenda meeting at 8:14 p.m. And thank you, everybody, for joining the meeting. And like every time, appreciate your hard work.
Oh, yeah.
Cal, did you want to do the discussion now to try to set that